Mhm. Everyone, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Coach Vet Jet, and we have
I am Coach Shayna DuPont.
nice. We're doing a little different setup this week. Actually, Shayna was sick, and I was trying new technology. Yeah. So, hope you guys like our new format, and hope you like what we're doing. So, we're excited about it, right? I think we like it. So, hope you guys enjoy it as well.
Yes, I like that people can see the both of us now and we're not cut out.
Exactly. It's not like half of our bodies out of the screen and stuff
Excuse me.
like that. You got I love technology. I love new things. And so yeah, this is us. This is us. So welcome, welcome.
I think this will
Um
be definitely our new go-to each
I
week.
think so.
Yeah.
It just makes it easy for us because like we're busy moms, we're professionals, coaches, clients, and everything. Life gets busy, and we can do what we have to do where we have to do it, right? So that's
Absolutely.
what it's all about.
That
Which
is.
brings us to management and leadership, right? That's what leaders do. That's what managers do. When we look at the functions of a leader and the functions of a manager, how we get things done, what that looks like, and what that looks like for our people. We're back for our third iteration of managers versus leaders. So yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I think this is a good way too. If anyone does any live videos or wants to do talks like this, I think this is a good way for you to see that you can be committed to your team,
Mm,
committed to yourself, committed to your goals, especially with the new year being right around the corner. Um,
exactly.
Lean into technology. There are so many different things that you can continue to learn and grow from, and I think Yvette, you're definitely a superstar as far as always
Thank you.
looking to find new ways for us to continue to meet our goals and reach out to other people. So I thank you for that.
You're
So,
welcome.
Yvette, why don't you get us started?
You know what? I'll get us started because I think what I like about what we're saying right now, as far as managers and leaders and finding ways to adapt and overcome, right? I was listening to actual TikTok. I've been on TikTok a lot lately, and there's a leadership coach on there, an educational coach, and she was talking about when you have to have staff meetings. With your educators, right? Finding ways to do it in such a way that it doesn't take away from people's time. And her idea was do a podcast. So you don't have to keep your educators there all night long with the meeting, but do a podcast. So on the way home, everyone can listen to it. You can talk as you drive. And this is a wonderful way. It's any type of streaming service, right? Where you can still get the information out, deliver the same quality content, but without having to keep people where they are and they're not confined to a particular area, if that makes sense. I think that's where flexibility and leadership comes in and how we can truly change things and change things for the better.
Absolutely. I think too, that kind of brings us to another point. Like, instead of holding meetings, that could have just been sent in an email. You know, you hear that all the time with leaders and managers.
Exactly.
Sometimes you can say and do a lot more when you're able to just adapt and either send it in an email if it's, something quick, or
Mhm.
if you have a lot to say, to just be able to do something like a podcast or um, just a quick virtual meeting. I think that makes a lot of sense, especially this time of year where obviously there's a lot of people getting sick.
Exactly. I know what I used to do for my team is we had to have a meeting like every Monday to talk about like what the operation was going to look like for the week or for the day. And I used to send a Loom video. So if you're not familiar with Loom, it's
I'm
a
not.
nice way to like send videos just like this and communicate the information in just a concise manner. And then people can go in and reply to the Loom video either through the comment section or through another video, so everything does not always have to be asynchronous, right? It could be asynchronous or synchronistically. So finding a way to do things a little bit different so that you don't always have to keep it the same way in the same structure, right? Whereas that gets us into managers. So I'm starting my next semester the 15th of January. And so I've already bought my books. Of course, I'm an addict. So don't tell my kids because I'm addicted to it. And I'm like, I'm excited to go back to school already. So I went ahead and bought my book. So there's a book that I'm taking next week. It's called Leadership Theory. That's the class I'm taking. And of course, the book is called Leadership Theory and Practice. And it breaks down in a nice like graph, right? Because we've been talking about this table rather, management and leadership. And it was talking about how management is about the planning, the budget, where leadership establishes the direction. And so I think that's a good segue. And it talked about this, Shane. I thought this was cool, that you need both. An organization needs both managers and they need leaders, right? Because an organization that just has managers will never have a vision and will never have a direction. And an organization that just has leaders will really won't be successful, right? They'll never get anything done or to fruition because you're just having people, whereas the leaders just casting the vision, creating the vision, communicating the goals, whereas the managers are the execution phase.
Yes, and you definitely need both. There needs to be personally, I think there needs to be an equal
Mm,
amount of both. I think it really needs to be 50-50, right? So you've got to have, half vision and then half execution, right?
yeah,
So, or 100. You need 100% of your leaders to be fully focused on the vision, the goals, and whatnot, and kind of establishing the direction or the road where the company is going,
mhm,
or the institution or whatever it is that you're leading. And then you need your managers to be able to follow through on that and
yeah,
be able to fully execute. And I think that's super important. Really, with any job, right? With any job, with any institution, any business, even in your home, right? You've got to be able to have a vision, and
mhm,
then you've got to be able to execute. And
yeah.
everyone needs to be able to contribute to that greater good.
I agree. And you know what? Then that brings me to another point that I always try to have a retrospective look, one at my life, two at my leadership, and then like three at my team, right? And my team impact. And when I look at previous positions that I've been in, I was in a position, Shayna, where I was primarily asked to be a manager, right? Tasked to be a manager. And without having the leadership component, right? Just like be a manager about the task, about the assignment, and that's it. And for a person like me that leans heavily into leadership, right? Where I seek commitment, I'm building the teams and coalition. I'm clarifying the big picture. I'm creating a vision. I love to inspire and energize. And having a person like me only have manager tasks, right? Where I'm very structured, where it's very structured, where it's about timetables and timelines and establishing the agendas. That was a hard role for me because that is not my strength, right? That is not my natural strength. My natural strength is completely in leadership.
So how did you balance that?
Oh my God. Now let's have some transparency for a minute.
Have some transparency, because I feel like there's gonna be people listening that are like, "Hey, that's me right now."
Oh,
So
Shayna,
how did you manage that?
I hated it. I'm gonna be very transparent. It's like I'm almost 46. I'm gonna be transparent. I hated it because I was not able to be who Yvette is. I was not able to, they just wanted it black and white, this and that's it, right? Literally, like, okay, you make the agenda, that's it. You make the schedule, that's it. You make the timeline, that's it. But I said, I have so much more. Like, there's so much more to me. Can I help? Like, can we move this thing along? I have a vision of where we can go. I have a vision of how to do things better. I have some strategies. When I it didn't match with who I was, and I would tell you that was the absolute worst position I've ever been in because I wasn't Yvette. Like they wanted just a manager and that's it. And those are not my natural skill sets. And I learned, and that's why I coach people, right? Find out what your strengths are, find out what your skills are, because if you don't, you're going to be very unhappy. Like I hated life and I was so unhappy. So I had to move along. And that's the truth, right? I'm going to be very transparent about I had to move along because it didn't fit me. It did not fit me. So yeah, I had to leave.
But I think we've touched upon this point before too, where we have talked about, I think you said move up, over, and out in one of our episodes, right?
Exactly.
So what I teach people to do is, hey, if you're in that miserable job that you're just kind of forced to do this one thing. It's not really what you love. You need to move. You need to move on. You need to either start learning to enjoy the job that you're at and do it well, or you need to find another job, or you need to find another position in the company, or you need to do something that is going to marry more so your personality type or kind of what your strengths are. And I think that's really important to really kind of be connected to yourself and be honest with yourself. Yeah, this job might pay you well, but if it's making you miserable, then what is that going to do in the long run, right? You're going to be miserable. You're going to take that home. You're going to we've talked about this too before, right? Did you leave?
I did. I made you solo since you're talking.
Oh, but that's, that's really a way to just kind of connect to yourself and really be able to connect to what you do well, being able to be honest with yourself, being able to see what your strengths are, what are things that you love. That's your intuition. There's things that you are naturally good at, and that's what you need to follow. And there are jobs that are going to pay you just as well as this job you're miserable in. You just have to look for them, right?
Exactly. And that brings me to my other point, because I truly had to shift to a completely different field, right? Because I was in one field for forever, and that's what I knew, that's what I liked, that's what I loved. But that intuition was telling me it's time to shift. It's time to get out of your comfort zone and what you've done for years, because it may not be suiting you anymore. And you're going to keep being in roles that aren't designed for you and what you naturally do best. And so that was an honest point for me of shift, learn other tasks, learn other skills so you can grow into who you are.
And I'm so glad that you said that, because I think that that's key. It's really stepping out of your comfort zone. I think sometimes being in that comfort zone because it's familiar and we just know it, we know the job, it's comfortable, right? So there's pushing out of that comfort zone, going and taking another job or trying something different is scary. And a lot of people are not willing to kind of jump the boat, if you will. And then you end up being stuck, and I get so saddened because there's so many people that just feel stuck. And it's like, just push past that discomfort, push out of that a little bit, and you're going to find everything that you're looking for, right? It's on the other side of fear. Just push through it.
And I think a lot of people get afraid to push through it because you get so comfortable and you get, I think honestly, there goes back to the spiritual component of it, right? Where does your faith allow you to land? Where does your faith allow you to be who you're truly meant to be and who you're called to be? And what does that look like? And so if you're having a faith that's truly bigger than yourself, you're able to go beyond what you know and do something you've never done before, right? Reaching
Absolutely.
new plateaus. But then that leads us right back to what leaders can do. That's why you have to have some leaders, because they have a vision of things that you can't see or don't see.
Yes, absolutely. You have to be a leader in your own life as well, I think, too. And again, I think that there's got to be components of both, right? So you've got to be able to have the vision. You've also got to be able to execute. So I say this specifically with my clients that are, they're kind of always feeling this calling, if you will, or they're always getting this nudge or they're thinking about something often, like writing a book or starting a podcast or whatever the case may be for them. And they don't do it. And they're watching on TikTok or they're watching on social media all these other people that inspire them, that they're like, wow, they're doing it, but they don't think that there's room for them in that space, if you will, right? Or they're just scared to start.
Yeah.
And it's like, just do it. And guess what? The first few, they're not going to be good. The first, maybe you just have to write for 15 minutes a day if you want to write a book, for example. It's like just getting through that uncomfortable feeling. So really I push people to just start somewhere. So for example, if you have this calling or kind of this thing that you're thinking about to write a book, for example, then we're going to want to take 10 to 15 minutes a day and you just write. So
Mm.
whether it's in the morning before you go to bed, you're just writing. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're starting this book. You're just writing, right? It's probably not going to be good. That's fine. We're going to just consistently do that. And it's just going to get you more comfortable with that uncomfortable feeling.
Ooh. And that's a good point that you made, because going into the new year, what does that look like? And are you able to do and reach something that you've never done before, right? Because
Yes,
if you don't take the small, tiny steps to achieve, you'll never achieve, and you'll never achieve greatness. And that's where leaders come in to help people and help their teams achieve greatness, right? It's about taking the small steps. And like my thing was, is about, there again, we go back to mindset, right? What does
yes,
that mindset shift look like? And the new year, I recommend to my leaders, journal. Find a way to journal and document your journey, because you'll be surprised of how far you've come and how far you're going. And how close you
absolutely.
are. You're probably closer than you thought. Closer than you thought.
And here's the thing, right? Like, you love sports. So I tell people all the time, right? So if you are out there and you're on the field, you don't want to be in the stands, right? And I think sometimes when you're thinking about doing something or it's constantly on your mind, you're just in the stands. You're still watching other people do it. Get
Yeah,
down on the field and inch by inch, taking those micro steps
yeah,
towards it, right? Every single day, do a little bit of something
yeah,
towards that goal. Keep moving that football a little bit closer, right? Little
yeah.
bit closer. And let's
Mhm.
just move the needle, right? So I just tell people those micro steps are so important. They will start to create habits, right? Those
Mm,
habits are what are so important, because those daily habits will end up becoming a new mindset and a new version of you that can now push through the fear and make a bigger step forward. Might not be tomorrow, but maybe in a couple of months, or um,
absolutely.
maybe in a year. All of those micro steps are going to eventually get you to that major goal.
Yes. Oh my God. Shannon, what I love that you said is that, like, this is one thing that I teach when I'm teaching leaders, right? Especially educational leaders. And I'm teaching them how to move the needle. And I teach them through an agile methodology. So you lead as an agile leader, right? Just being flexible, being adaptive, and being incremental. And I think a lot of times we forget that as leaders, we can do things incrementally, right? How do we own what we're doing? When you're looking at it from the agile framework or the agile mindset, right? And I use a framework called Scrum, and do it incrementally, and you own your product, right? If you're implementing something new, and I'm doing it from the perspective and lens of school, if you're trying to implement a new program in your school, right? And who owns that product, and how do you deliver that incrementally so that you can see the small wins along the way, versus doing it in the project management world. They have a thing called waterfall, where you do it just in a waterfall. You kind of lay it out and you deliver something huge at the end,
Mhm.
versus having an agile mindset, doing it through Scrum, small little increments, little by little. So you see the small wins along the way. And that's how I train my leaders, right? Do the small wins. If you're, like, say you're a superintendent, what is the small wins that you can do in your district, that you can see them, or your principal can see them and your AP can see them, because it keeps you motivated. It keeps you motivated and inspired along the way.
Yes, I think all of those tiny little micro wins,
Mm,
helps to build momentum, right?
mm,
So I'm obviously from Boston. When you're making a snowball, right, they
mhm.
start out with these tiny little things, and when you're in these fights and you keep rolling them, it will build momentum and just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And I like to use kind of analogies, if you will, or things that are tangible that I can see, because it just helps me kind of put things into perspective a little bit. So if you have to think about it in that sense, it just helps create momentum. All of those tiny little wins will eventually become these huge winning moments where you can see the greater picture then.
Yeah.
But you have to celebrate those too. You got to focus on those tiny little wins, even if it's health related. And we're just talking in general here, but even if someone wants to lose weight, for example, let's sit there and, if you lose a pound or two, celebrate that.
Yeah.
Instead of sitting there and saying like, oh my gosh, I didn't hit my goal, I wanted to lose 5, or just celebrate those micro wins, continue to stay positive, continue to just keep building the momentum. Build the
Mhm.
momentum just little by little by little. To your point, move that needle a little tiny bit closer to the goal.
Ooh, and you know what? Then that brings me back to team collaboration, where leaders really build a collaborative team where everyone communicates together. And I think a lot of times that's what teams are lacking, that ongoing collaboration and communication where everyone is able to share their thoughts, and share their ideas and share their wins, because you're building a community, right? You're building
Yes.
a family, you're building the organization where it's just not one person and it doesn't become a dictatorship.
Absolutely, and that's super important too because it also gives people the motivation and, um, kind of the mindset, right, of, "I'm excited to go to this job. I am excited to go and, kind of innovate and think of different ways to do things because my voice will be heard." I might not be the CEO, but we are a family, meaning that everyone is open-minded to really, looking at each other's perspectives, what can we do better, and really just if everyone has a voice, it just makes the whole, community that much better and
Mm.
stronger, and then, I mean, you won't fail. You will not fail if you do that.
Shana, you know, this what this reminds me of, right? This is where I think leadership is so relevant, because I think we touched on it several times, is community, right? How
Yes.
do you build that oneness and community? And you know, we just came off the Christmas, and we just had the holiday party at my house, and we really truly built a community over the span of the party. Like for instance, I learned something I like didn't know about you. Like that you have like leadership abilities to jump in and get it done, right? And like because we had the marshmallow fight, everyone. So we'll have to touch on that another
God.
time, how that works together, right?
Yes.
Like, she's probably sick because of me, and I'm so sorry because she cleaned that floor like no one's business. But who knew like your strength, and who knew that one, I knew I had good neighbors before, but I really know that I have a family now, right? Because you treated my home like it was your home, right? My other neighbor treated my home like it was her home as well. And then it just built a camaraderie that we see each other differently now, right? And it was
Yes.
a teamwork effort. Yeah, I bought the marshmallows, but everyone else cleaned it up for me, just
Just
building that community.
yes, and if anyone is wondering, marshmallows stick to everything.
Everything. Oh
So
my
if
god.
you are planning on doing a marshmallow fight,
Yes.
please put plastic down everywhere.
Everywhere.
But that being said, yes, as soon as it was done, right, I think I went into, like, mom mode panic where I was like, "Oh my gosh, this house is now a mess, like, we have to clean it," right?
Yes.
So, I just I don't know, I just jumped in there, I started hollering at the kids, I was like, "Listen, just pick up the big pieces, we're gonna do this, we're gonna scrape this, just boil me some water, let's get it done," right? But to your point, we now got to learn about
Mhm.
each other, and we had quite a few of the neighbors over there, but everyone just kind of pitched in,
It's
after everyone was all over that house and each other, like, that
yes.
was so much fun, but then everyone did jump in to help out and clean, and I think it's cool too because it was your house, and you never sat there and said, "No, no, 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 like, it's my house, I'll do it my way." Does that make
Mhm.
sense? Like,
It
you were
does,
just like,
yeah.
"Hey, I'll do this." You allowed me to kinda dictate the mopping duty, and Natalie was doing something else, so, like, everyone just kind of had a role, and
Mhm.
everyone was just like, "Okay, so we're just gonna do this, this, this." Everyone kinda had an area, and we all just worked together, and it ended up getting cleaned,
It
um,
did.
relatively quickly, which was really cool.
It was, and then you can learn stuff, right? I mean, because when we take a retrospective look at it, right? There's things that we coulda did differently. Next year, I will have plastic down, have a tarp. Next year, I also have the little booties that you
Mm,
can put over your feet. Because who
yes,
knew that marshmallows could get that sticky and melt that fast and, like,
yes,
stuck, stuck, stuck,
yes.
stuck, and who
Stop.
knew that, like, it would stick
Oh,
to your
man.
shoes, and everyone had sticky shoes, and I still have some Crocs in the living room that I need to wash off because 'cause they're sticky. But there's so many things that from a retrospective look you can learn from. Whereas if you keep things traditional, you don't build that community, you will never learn, right? I learned that hard marshmallows hurt. They can really hurt. You know,
Those too. I couldn't believe that. You would think a squishy little marshmallow just wouldn't be painful, but these kids were
no.
launching these
And yes,
marshmallows.
and when you have some football players, basketball players, you have some softball players, they're really strong. So there again, that goes back to the leadership, right? You
Yes.
find different strengths, right? You find different people's strengths and you discover different things about your team. And of course, you became the manager, like, we're going to get this cleaned up. We got a timeline, let's go. You know, I'm like, well, my vision is just like to have the marshmallow fight. But think about if we didn't balance one another. We would just
Yes.
have marshmallows everywhere, and then the cleanup part, like, okay, we'll get to it however we get to it. I just had a vision, I just had an image, and I just had the strategy, right? But then we need that other component to balance it out. And I
Absolutely.
think that's what we're getting to. And so it could happen in any room. And I did that. So one, I could always show that video to my clients that one, when you have 10 or more bags of marshmallows, it will take 2 minutes and 9 seconds to get rid of all of them. Right. It takes 2 minutes and 9 seconds to get rid of 10 bags of marshmallows.
That is true. Getting rid of
Women
them
are
was the fast part. Cleaning them.
cleaning
Oh,
them
Lord.
takes forever. Now,
Took forever, excuse me.
that's where it gets sticky. But at the same time, we're building a community, right? We're building friendships and bonds that go beyond the moment, right? And you're building great memories. So, and then we're inspiring the future, right? We inspire the future in a different way that they may not have been inspired before. And for me, that's what means the most, right? That I think the kiddos were taught kindness because no one cried after, no one was hurt,
No.
no one was mad at each other, but they have memories, they had laughs, they have fun, and we're building teamwork and collaboration, right?
Yes. We had all those kids on different jobs, if you will. So
Yeah,
the bigger kids were moving furniture, and then we had smaller kids picking up, the marshmallows, but they all worked together. And then I had some kids boiling water. So it's like everyone had their job, but everyone just listened, fell in line, and just kind of did what needed to be done.
yeah.
Um, and then they were like, hey, that was so much fun. But then everyone just worked together, really as a team, which was so nice to see.
Mm.
Um, and then just were able to clean it up and not leave your house a complete disaster for the remainder.
It wasn't a complete disaster. So, if anyone has any questions, I strongly recommend a marshmallow fight. Of course, with the prerequisites of putting down plastic and
Please
getting
do.
these, because it will melt, right? It will melt. But then to think about it, how leaders can find different ways to be innovative, find different ways to collaborate with their team, and to truly develop the skills of the manager.
Absolutely.
Mhm,
I
mhm,
think too, another thing that's good is to find what people are good at. And
mhm.
once you see what someone is good at, like you were saying that you never really realized that I could just kind of jump in and start dictating, what's getting cleaned by who and whatnot. So if you are a manager or a leader and you're noticing something like that, where you're just like, hey, that person kind of has a strength in that area, let them run with that. Really just let them go, like that's their strength. Just let them shine in that area. Ask them questions and really just be open-minded, and let's kind of let people soak in their glory, if you will, on what they're really good at.
Ooh, and that's key of what you said because as a leader, you cannot be jealous of your team when
Oh,
they are shining, right? Yeah,
yes.
it's my house, but do I have to take the lead and shine in this? No, it wasn't about me. Someone else, your back was stronger than mine because at one point I just sat down. I'm like, okay, I'm tired. Like I'm exhausted. Like I didn't have to shine. I think leaders have to remember you don't have to shine. You can let someone else have the stage and you can be their guiding light or their support system in a different way, right? You can let them have the stage and you can be the supporting cast. And that's what true leaders understand. True leaders understand you could be the supporting cast and still be a leader and still be who you are.
I think that's a part of being a leader, is not having to be in the spotlight all the time. But there were other things that you were doing, like when the kids were kind of starting to get a little off track of what their goals or their job was. Between you and Natalie, it would be like, hey, she asked you to do this, get this done quickly so she can finish, cleaning up that area or whatnot. And I think you had the kitchen, you were with the other kids in the kitchen,
Yes.
and whatnot. But it's just like, just allow people sometimes to just have the spotlight. And I know we're talking about a marshmallow fight here, but just in general, I think it's so important to sometimes take a back seat, let someone else kind of shine, really realize what their strengths are, and then just allow everyone to shine in their own moment. And that's definitely huge, I think, for leadership.
I agree. Oh my goodness, Shayna, this time goes by
We are
so
not done already. Come
quickly.
on. We say this every week.
Every single week. I mean, the 30 minutes goes by just like that. But these are the conversations that we have. But any final closing thoughts? I'll give you the stage. Any closing thoughts?
Oh man, closing thoughts. I think just if everyone can, just for themselves and at your work, whatever it is that you do for a living, it's a new year. So I would really just tell people, really just start to be honest with yourself. Really, to Yvette's point, journal, figure out what it is that you can do better, and really just put in all of your effort to focus on yourself.
I like that, Shayna. And I will say it like this in closing. I will say everyone needs a coach.
Yes.
And what I like to do when I work with my clients is ensure that you're treated like the executive that you are the owner of your school. You are the owner of your district. Even if you're maybe working at a different level, supporting the schools and finding different ways to make the schools better, you're the owner of it. You own that product. And as a leader, you need a coach. You need a coach to walk with you, stand by you, show you what you can't see for yourself, and to be that guiding light for you. And as far as family is concerned, Shayna, what do you have to say?
You need a support system. I
Mm,
think this is not just for your type of coaching. I think every person needs a coach.
mm,
Um, I think it's very important for what you do, because as far as educators are concerned, that's super important. On the family aspect, which is more of what I do, you just need that person that's going to be on the outside that can kind of give you the support that you're looking for, and really just be able to help guide you.
mm.
And I think that that's just super important. Everyone needs a coach.
You need a coach.
You need a coach.
Awesome. Well, you can reach out to me and Shayna. We're on different platforms on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok. Reach out to us. We would love to help you. We'd love to help guide your organization, guide your family. We're here for you. And that, Shayna, that wraps up our year.
Wraps up the year already.
The year. So I guess we'll see everyone in the new 2024. And if there's a topic you would like us to discuss, let us know. Drop us a line, and we can discuss your topic. I think this wraps up our iteration of managers versus leaders. So we'll be doing a new topic come the new year. But look forward to hearing
Absolutely.
more from us. So yeah. But
Yes,
Sheena,
and
it's always so good to talk to you, my friend.
it's so good to talk to you too.
Yeah, and I hope you
Hope
feel
everyone
better.
has a great, thank you. I hope everyone has a great new year. Let us know what your resolutions are too.
Yeah.
Let us
Oh,
know what it is that you're working towards.
most definitely. Well, happy New Year, everyone,
Happy
and
New
happy
Year.
friends. And we'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.